All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going deep with Doza Crew.
Oh, cool.
You know, that German hip-hop group with a really unique sound.
Definitely unique.
So we're on a mission here. We got all these questions from you guys about their lyrics.
Yeah, I saw those.
Like what's with all the sounds and
Right.
stuff? And what are they actually trying to say?
Right.
So to try and figure that out, we've got excerpts from a few tracks.
Okay.
We've got Anasteria, Das IU Imperium,
Mm-hmm.
Hortzblogio, and a bunch of versions of Klang der Nacht. Live ones, studio recordings, the whole shebang.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so first off, those sounds they use,
Oh, yeah?
like they're all over the place, right? Like IU or Zulu, Zuzu, Zuzu.
It's wild.
Seriously, it's like they're speaking their own language.
Well, maybe not a whole language, but it's definitely intentional.
Okay, so what's the deal with that?
One way to think about it is like supercharged onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, like sound words. But they're not just copying sounds. It's more about capturing a feeling. As the energy of the city, or even just raw emotion.
So it's more vibe than like actual message.
Exactly. And then there's the repetition.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
It's like a mantra almost. It kind of pulls you into their world,
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Think of it like a strobe light at a club. It can be disorienting,
Right.
but it also draws you in.
I see what you mean. And it seems like some of their lyrics have that same feeling, like constant movement, the energy of the city at night.
For sure. They paint these really vivid pictures with their words, like snapshots of this fast-paced urban landscape.
And speaking of snapshots, there's this one line from Anastasia that really caught my ear.
Okay, which one?
Psychedelish blitz in hell. What do you think that's all about?
Yeah, that's a powerful image, right? I mean, on the surface level, it's just a cool visual,
Yeah,
but I think it also speaks to their ambition.
their ambition, how so?
Their drive to be different, to stand out, to be something bold and unforgettable.
Like those lightning bolts are their music, kind of breaking through the darkness.
Yes, exactly. It's like they're not just describing the city, but their place in it,
So they're making a statement.
for sure. And they're not afraid to push buttons. Like, remember that line, Die Musik bricht aus?
From the same song?
Yep. It's like this declaration of independence, a refusal to be boxed in.
It's like a rebellion almost.
Right. And that rebellious energy, it comes up a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Like in Das IU Imperium,
Uh-huh.
the line im Benz LED-Licht, komm und sieh.
Yeah, that one's pretty in your face.
Not subtle at all.
But that's part of what makes them interesting. It's that swagger, Fresh, but kind of dangerous, too.
It's like that classic hip-hop thing, wealth and success, but with this Doza Crew twist.
Exactly. They own it.
It's like they're saying, look, we're here, we're loud,
We're not going anywhere.
and they really drive that home with lines like, Nacht wird zum Tag, die Party endet nie.
Yeah. Endless possibilities, pushing boundaries, no limits. It all ties back to that idea of taking control, living life on their own terms.
That's a good point. And they really connect that ambition to the city itself.
Absolutely. The city, especially at night, it becomes like the backdrop for their story.
Right, it's where they hustle, where they get inspired.
It's their territory. Remember in Das IU Imperium when they call themselves legend status?
Yeah.
They're claiming their place in the urban landscape.
It's like the city is a character in their story.
It is. It's more than just a setting. It's fuel for their creativity. It's a reflection of their ambitions, but also maybe some anxieties, too.
Anxieties.
Well, think about Hortzblogwai. There's that line, Sie nennen mich König des harten Blocks.
I remember that one.
It hints at a tougher reality underneath all the swagger.
So it's not all glamorized.
Not at all. They're acknowledging the struggle, the competition. And that line, it positions them as rulers, sure.
Right.
But also survivors. People who've come out on top in a tough world.
That makes me think about Klang der Nacht, the line, Kopf voller Träume in der Tasche der Flöhe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Big dreams, but grounded in reality.
It's a cool duality, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They're dreamers and hustlers, aspirational but grounded. And they show both sides.
Exactly. That's what makes them so compelling. It's not just rhymes, it's a story. A story that speaks to anyone who's ever dared to dream big when things aren't easy.
Exactly. And they're telling that story with a sound that's totally unique.
For sure. Pushing the boundaries of language.
Yeah, all those non-words and sounds.
Mixing traditional lyrics with this really unconventional stuff to create a totally new experience.
So it's like they're inventing a whole sonic vocabulary for things you can't say with normal words.
Exactly. It's raw, visceral. You can't ignore it. But before we get too deep into that, let's take a closer look at some of their lyrics. There's a lot more to unpack there.
Sounds good. Let's see what else they're hiding in those words.
So you mentioned Nacht before.
Yeah, it's a cool track.
It's interesting because across all the different versions, it really shows how they build their lyrical world.
Okay, I'm curious. What kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, they have this line, asphalt glute heiss.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It's more than just saying the city's hot, you know? It's like this intense, almost dangerous energy everywhere.
Right, like that heat is a symbol for all the pressure, the hustle.
Exactly. And then they contrast that with another line, in unseren Adern das Adrenalin wie Eis.
Adrenaline like ice.
Yeah, it's this weird image. Intense energy, but also ice-cold composure.
So they're in the chaos, but they're in control.
Yeah, and they're not just watching it happen, they're shaping it. There's a line, Graffiti in der Wand tagen unseren Traum.
They're leaving their mark.
Literally, yeah, but also figuratively, turning the city into a reflection of their dreams.
It's like the city's their canvas.
And they're not afraid to get into the darker parts of it either, like Legenden entstehen in dunklen Gassen.
Legends are born in dark alleys.
Yeah, it's like saying greatness comes from struggle, from facing the city's challenges head on.
Success isn't always pretty.
Right, it's about resilience, finding your way through the darkness.
And making your own rules, your own territory.
Exactly, and that comes through even stronger in the Fractal 2063 version.
Oh, that one's intense.
It is. They rap about Seelenscheine nachts, das hier ist der Beat, den niemand schlägt.
Counting money at night.
Boasting that their beat is the best, it's pure dominance, conquering the city.
They're not just surviving, they're thriving.
And celebrating it. There are lines like, Die Stadt ist unser Spielplatz, wir jagen den Rausch.
City lights sind Zeugen, wir lassen's brennen, Feuer im Asphalt. It's a party.
It is. Reckless abandon, leaving life to the fullest right in the heart of the city. And they bring the listener in, too, you know.
How so?
Lines like, Kein Zurück, wir sind hier von dem Vibes.
Sharing the experience, the high.
It's like an invitation to join their movement, their vision.
And there's all that car imagery too, right? Reifen Kichen, Burnouts in der Nacht.
That's a good catch. That adds to that feeling of reckless abandon. It's all about speed, pushing boundaries.
The fast life.
And it's that classic hip-hop thing again, showing off wealth.
Right, but they make it their own.
It's not just about the car, it's what it represents. Freedom, power, control.
Escaping the everyday, leaving your mark.
And they're pretty open about wanting wealth, too. Gold am Arm und die Taschen voll Cash.
No hiding it.
But even when they're talking about money, it's always about the drive, the ambition.
Proving themselves.
It's not just about being rich, it's about earning success that reflects their hard work.
Like a symbol of their dominance.
Claiming their place in the world. Material comfort and security are part of that.
But it's not the end goal.
Right. It's tied to this bigger story of artistic expression, pushing limits, making a real impact.
So the money is more like recognition, respect.
Living on their own terms, pursuing their passion, and inspiring others to do the same.
And they seem to be doing a pretty good job of that.
They are. They're making waves, you know? That mix of experimentation, bold lyrics, and raw energy.
It's resonating.
Yeah. People are hungry for something different, something that challenges the norm.
So we've talked about the lyrics, the sounds, how they create these pictures of the city.
We have.
But what about their live shows? How does all this come alive on stage?
Oh, that's when things get really interesting.
Okay, so the studio tracks are like the blueprint, then,
Yeah, kind of.
but the live shows, that's where the building comes to life.
That's a whole other level.
So what makes them so different? Give me the rundown.
Well, first off, those non-words, remember?
Oh yeah, the I, you, and all that.
In the live shows, they're almost like rituals, you know?
Rituals.
Yeah, like call and response with the audience.
Oh, I see.
Using those sounds to get everyone hyped up, create a sense of unity.
So it becomes a shared experience.
Exactly. They're pulling the audience into their world.
It's like everyone's in on it together.
And the repetition, that gets cranked up too. Certain phrases, those hooks, they'll repeat them, build on them, let the crowd's energy kind of guide it.
So it's not just a set performance, it evolves.
Yeah, it's almost trance-inducing, the way they do it. Hypnotic.
I bet. Building this wave of energy that just keeps going.
And then there's how they move on stage. It's not just standing there rapping.
Right, they bring a lot of energy.
They're using gestures, feeding off the crowd and giving it right back. It's a full-body thing, you know?
That sounds intense.
It is, and it makes sense. when you think about it.
How so?
Well, their lyrics are all about movement, speed, energy.
Right, right.
So their stage presence, it's like they're embodying those themes, making them visible.
It adds another layer of meaning.
Exactly. It's more than a concert. It's a performance, almost like a spectacle.
They're pushing the boundaries.
And they use visuals too, lights, video projections, sometimes even performance art stuff.
Wow, so it's a whole sensory experience.
Yeah, it's immersive. It goes way beyond just the music itself.
They're not afraid to experiment.
And that's what makes them so exciting. You never know what to expect.
It's like they're creating this whole world, a Doza Crew universe.
Yeah, and it's both familiar and completely new. Those hip-hop themes are there. The city, ambition, success.
But they make it their own.
It feels fresh, innovative, and their use of language is part of that, too.
You think other artists will start doing that, the non-words and stuff?
It's possible, yeah. We're seeing more and more artists playing with language these days.
Breaking the rules.
Exploring new ways to connect with people. Doza Crew's success could definitely inspire that.
It's cool to think about. What if this becomes the new sound of rebellion?
It could happen. But even if it doesn't, Doza Crew has left their mark. They've shown that there's always space for innovation, for challenging what music can be.
That's a good point. So what's the big takeaway here for our listeners?
I'd say Doza Crew is more than just a group. They're sonic architects, building a world that's raw energy and artistic ambition all at once.
I like that, sonic architects.
They make you think differently about language, about how music works. It's a whole experience.
Well said. So that wraps up our deep dive into the world of Doza Crew.
It's been a journey.
We've covered their lyrics, their unique sound, the energy of their live shows. We've even talked about how they might be changing music as we know it.
It's exciting stuff.
And we always say knowledge is power. We hope you feel a little more powerful now.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.